Good evening and welcome. You're on board the Newstrack. I'm Rahul Kanwal. Multiple episodes of protests, some of them violent in centres across the country. Were the protests that we saw after Jummah ki namaz this afternoon spontaneous, or were they pre-planned and orchestrated? That's the big focus on the Newstrack tonight.
Proof that Prophet issue isn't over. After global anger, local fury. Muslim Friday fury on full display. Jummah jolt sends national shockwave. Demanding more than Nupur sacking. Pan City pandemonium over the Prophet. Fury of faithful or organised outrage.
Stones, effigies, lathis. It was Friday fury on the streets across at least 8 states in India. There was Pan City pandemonium against Nupur Sharma's comments about the Prophet. Angry protesters descended after Jummah ki namaz, demanding in some cases that Nupur be beheaded. Was this escalation organic, or was it completely orchestrated?
Pouring out of Friday prayers and onto the streets. Tens of thousands of Muslims rallying in protest over offensive comments against the Prophet. Many demanding the arrest of former BJP leaders Nupur Sharma and Naveen Jindal.
It is very, very bad speech against our Prophet, and we can't tolerate this. And our Prime Minister should take action.
This is a democratic country, and in a democratic country, you have the right to speech, but you cannot do any hatred speech.
The mobilization began after weekly Jummah prayers.
नहीं, मुझे तो पता भी नहीं, न जामा मस्जिद की तरफ से कोई इस तरह की कॉल थी. अचानक नमाज के बाद जामा मस्जिद के चौक पर यानी गेट नंबर 1 पर नारे लगने शुरू हुए, लेकिन कौन लोग हैं ये अभी पता नहीं.
Demonstrations unusual in their scale and spontaneity. A curfew imposed in a remote town of Doda district of Jammu and Kashmir as a precautionary measure after hate speech and a blasphemous post by members of two communities. Heavy police presence in Old Delhi after protesters took to the streets from the historic Jama Masjid.
There's very heavy police deployment, and the reason for heavy police deployment is because the administration does not want the situation to go out of hands. All those devotees who came out told India Today that the action that the Bharatiya Janata Party has taken against Nupur Sharma, according to them, is not enough. They want stricter action to be taken against the likes of Nupur Sharma.
The protest turned violent in some parts. The riot police used force to break up angry demonstrators. Muslim protesters clogged Kolkata in West Bengal.
A lot of people turned up, might be something around 200 to 300, and the entire stretch was completely blocked. Now everyone that we spoke to, be it kids, be it elderly people, be it women, a lot of them had the tricolour in their hand. Everyone stated only one thing, that Nupur should be arrested. There should be a legal action against Nupur Sharma.
A similar rally down south. around Charminar in Hyderabad.
It is Makkah Masjid, and here just after Friday prayer a large number of people came out from the mosque and they started protesting. They were chanting a slogan against two particular persons who are allegedly showed disrespect toward Prophet Muhammad, and they also demanded that since cases are booked against those persons, police should arrest them.
After days of diplomatic blowback, a tense fallout from the Prophet comments has left the country reeling. Bureau Report, India Today.
Were the protests that we saw today across the country amongst the Muslim community spontaneous, or were they orchestrated? Joining me on the Newstrack, I want to welcome first Maulana Muhammad Sajid Rashidi, President of the All India Imam Association. Lots of these banners doing the rounds, messages sent on WhatsApp, which seem to be inviting people after the Jummeh ki namaz for a Bharat Bandh. So I intend to put some tough questions to Maulana Rashidi. But it's also important to understand what is going on, because there hasn't been an occasion in the recent past where we've seen so many different centers seeing this kind of a simultaneous protest in many years now. Joining us is Sushant Sareen, leading strategic affairs expert. Rashmi Saman joins us. She's a Hindu human rights activist by her description. Tushar Gupta is a senior editor at Swarajya. We've got Hamza Masood joining us, and we've got Zakia Suman, who's the co-founder of the Bharatiya Muslim Mahila Andolan. Let me start by asking Maulana Rashidi whether these protests were pre-planned. Are they spontaneous? क्या आप मानते हैं कि एक तरीके से व्हाट्सएप के जरिए, सोशल मीडिया के जरिए लोगों को बताया गया कि जुम्मे की नमाज के बाद बाहर निकलना है, प्रोटेस्ट करना है? क्योंकि कई सारे जो इमाम हैं, जैसे जामा मस्जिद के इमाम हैं, कह रहे हैं कि ये स्पॉन्टेनियस था, उनको पता ही नहीं था कि ऐसा होने वाला है।
नहीं, ये शाही इमाम साहब ने जो कहा है ये बिल्कुल सही कहा है। किसी को भी नहीं पता ना, क्योंकि मैं भी इमाम हूँ एक मस्जिद में, मुझे भी पता नहीं था कि ऐसा प्रोटेस्ट होना है। हालांकि मेरे पास जो है यूपी से कई लोगों का फ़ोन आया कि साहब कल शाम में कि कल भारत बंद है क्या? मैंने कहा नहीं, मुझे तो पता नहीं है। तो ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था कि ये प्री प्लान है। जिसने भी ये अफवाह फैलाई है उसके सोर्स को पता कीजिए। नहीं कि किसने
देखिए ना, मेरे पास तो ये व्हाट्सएप मैसेज है। It's from a character called Wasi Mamu. It's sent yesterday at 6:30 p.m. which talks about पैगंबर मोहम्मद के खिलाफ जो बयान दिए गए उसको लेके 10 जून जुम्मा की नमाज के बाद भारत बंद. So obviously this was spreading amongst members of the community.
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ कि आप इसके सोर्स का पता करके, मैं भी खुद मांग करता हूँ आपके चैनल के माध्यम से, जिसने इस तरह की खबर फैलाई है उसको पकड़ा जाए। ऐसा तो कुछ भी नहीं, कहीं भी नहीं, जहाँ भी कहीं हुआ।
आपके हिसाब से क्या हुआ?
देखिए जहाँ भी जो हुआ है, प्रोटेस्ट हुआ है, होता क्या है मैं बताता हूँ आपको। जैसे कि मस्जिद में मैं इमाम हूँ, वहाँ आम नमाज़ों में 10 से 15 लोग आते हैं, लेकिन जुमा के दिन वहीं 250, 300 और 500 तक लोग हो जाते हैं। तो जुमा के दिन जो है लोग कुछ ज़्यादा इकट्ठे होते हैं, उसका जो है कुछ सोशल वर्कर, कुछ किसी पार्टी से जुड़ा हुआ आदमी उसका फ़ायदा उठा लेता है। लोग वहाँ इसलिए नहीं आते कि भाई ऐसा होना है, लेकिन जैसे जामा मस्जिद पर शाही इमाम को पता नहीं कि प्रोटेस्ट होगा और जामा मस्जिद पर प्रोटेस्ट हो गया। तो ये सारी चीज़ें जो है हमें कहीं ना कहीं जानकारी में लेनी होंगी कि भाई ये हुआ क्यों है। अब देखिए आगजनी की बात आई, जहाँ तक आगजनी किसने बताया उनको कि भाई आगजनी करनी है? अगर कहीं पत्थरबाजी की बात आई तो पत्थरबाजी किसने
रांची की तस्वीरें देखिए,
किसने?
वहाँ पे वो पुलिस से भिड़ रहे हैं, धक्का मुक्की हो रही है। Surely this is not right. Look at Havra. These pictures of different things being set on fire, गाड़ियाँ जलाई जा रही हैं, फूकी जा रही हैं वहाँ पे।
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, देखिए प्रोटेस्ट करना एक जुमहूरी हक होता है आदमी का।
बेशक,
अगर किसी भी बात को लेकर कोई आदमी प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है तो उसका जुमहूरी हक है, वो कर सकता है। लेकिन उस जुमहूरी हक का गलत इस्तेमाल करना, कानून अपने हाथ में लेना या इस तरह की कोई हरकत करना जो जमहूरियत के और कानून के खिलाफ हो, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं इसकी कोई इजाज़त नहीं दे सकता। हम तो उसके साथ नहीं खड़े हुए हैं।
सुशांत
नुपुर शर्मा को लेकर जो गुस्सा था लोगों का, आज वही गुस्सा फूटा है। मेरा मानना शुरू से ये रहा है इस मुद्दे में कि अगर सरकार रहते हुए इस पर कार्रवाई कर लेती तो ना कानपुर होता, ना
कार्रवाई की तो सही, उसको सस्पेंड तो कर दिया।
तो अब हुआ 10 दिन के बाद सर जब लावा पक गया, बिल्कुल जब लोगों के जहन में ये बात बैठ गई कि अब हमें सड़कों पर निकलना है, तब जाके ऐसा हुआ।
Now the Maulana here is telling us that these weren't planned. But Sushant Sareen, given the fact that in so many different centers, whether it's a Hyderabad, a Kanpur, a Ranchi, or Delhi, a Lucknow, or a Prayagraj, people came out together. Do you think this warrants a deeper investigation to determine who planned this, or could this be a spontaneous showing of anger?
Rahul, if it had to be a spontaneous showing of anger, then why has it taken 10 days or 12 days for such kind of demonstrations to happen? It could have happened earlier. There was, I believe, Friday, even before this, when the remark had already been made. And I would have imagined that if the remark had been made and people were actually as agitated as they were apparently being shown to be today, then this should have happened maybe last week. I would have then imagined that it was spontaneous.
ये तो पिछले फ्राइडे को हो जाना चाहिए था अगर ये होना ही था. नुपुर का बयान तो आ चुका था अगर गुस्सा होता कम्युनिटी में तो. ये तो जब बीजेपी ने उसको सस्पेंड कर दिया, नवीन जिंदल को निकाल दिया, उसके बाद अब इस तरह की हरकत हो रही है, इस तरह के तोड़फोड़ हो रही है.
मैं बताता हूँ. देखिए, पिछले जुमा को जो कानपुर में हादसा हुआ, उस टाइम तक लोगों को ये था ही नहीं कि सड़कों पर आना है, सड़कों पर निकलना है. ये कोई प्लान नहीं है. कानपुर के हादसे के बाद में जब कानपुर में लोग सड़कों पर निकल गए तो लोगों को एक वो हुआ कि हाँ भाई अब निकल जाना चाहिए हमें भी, और वो जुमे का वेट कर रहे थे, निकल गए. अब इसमें ऐसा थोड़े कि इसको प्लान किया गया है.
देखिए,
हमारे जो देश की एजेंसीज हैं वो इतनी कमजोर नहीं है सर कि उनको यही पता ना चले कि मौलाना साजिद रशीदी क्या कर रहे हैं, देश के खिलाफ क्या प्रोपेगेंडा चला रहे हैं, या शाही इमाम क्या प्रोपेगेंडा चला रहे हैं. ये देखिए, ये कहीं ना कहीं हम जब इस तरह की बातें करते हैं कि ये प्रोपेगेंडा है, प्री प्लान है, तो कहीं ना कहीं हम अपनी एजेंसीज को कम आंकने की कोशिश करते हैं. नहीं करना चाहिए.
अंडर एस्टिमेटिंग द लेवल ऑफ जेन्युइन एंगर अमंगस्ट द मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी, सुशांत?
Look, there would be some people who would be genuinely agitated simply out of ignorance. There would be some who would be agitated for other reasons. But the fact of the matter is, Rahul, this kind of a demonstration and this kind of protest do not happen all over the country. Then why were these WhatsApp messages being exchanged? Why was all this instigation taking place on the social media and through various apps? So obviously something was cooking behind the scenes, and it does warrant a deeper investigation. The other thing is that the Maulana says that, they were waiting for Friday. It's a weird kind of agitation in the mind and a protest where you wait for a certain day because when you know that so many people will come. If you genuinely had an outpouring of outrage, then you would have done it on the very second day, the third day, the fourth day. You didn't have to wait for 10 days to do this. Number three, I am all for people protesting, but I draw a line on two things. Number one, if your protest is going to inconvenience me, damage my property, hurt my interest or hurt my being, I'm sorry, you don't have that right. That kind of protest, you don't have the right. And secondly, if your protest is going to turn violent, there is no protest in the world which is justified if it is going to be violent. And this was clearly a protest which was designed to be violent. So I think it needs to be crushed, this tendency which is happening now. And I say this across the board. I don't care what the community is, whether it is the Khalistanis, whether it is the the Sant Samagam, whether it is the Muslims, whether it is the Christians, I don't care. Whoever takes the law into his own hand, whoever creates public disturbance, whoever intimidates, incites violence, whoever carries out these blood-curdling threats that we will chop somebody's head off, like we saw clips from Jammu yesterday, Bhadarwa. I'm sorry, this is simply not acceptable.
Zakia Suman, respond to the point that Sushant Sareen makes, that had this been genuine anger, it would have manifested on day 2 or day 3 after Nupur Sharma's comments, not so many days after the BJP already suspended her. It almost seems that this is planned and orchestrated.
So, Rahul, the comments were offensive and they are condemnable. However, since the apology was issued, I believe that the apology should be accepted. But having said that, I think that the government needs to do much more because we are a multi-faith, multicultural society. We have different faith communities living alongside. And I think the government needs to deal very firmly with the hate mongers because this has been building up over the years. You know, we have seen the calls at the Dharam Sansad. We have seen what has happened with Mr. Jain in MP. He was asked repeatedly whether his name is Muhammad, and ultimately he got killed. So I think, that compact, that social compact between citizens of India, be they Hindus, be they Muslims, we need to peacefully coexist with mutual respect.
But respond to the point, Hamza Masood. Hamza Masood, I want you to respond to the question that Sushant Sareen makes, that had this been a genuine display of anger which came from within, it would have happened soon after the Nupur Sharma comments were made, not almost a week after the BJP acted against her.
Sir, I think that the anger is genuine, but what has happened today, I want the government to look into it, because who are these fringe elements that every protest that we do, there are some 2-3 people, they came in between with stones, and every protest is turned violent. It is a pattern, sir. And not every person with a topi and a dadi is a Muslim. Not every person involved in that group can be a Muslim. There are some fringe elements in society on both sides, and we need to look into this matter. But sir, there was a very simple point that Sajid Saab has also said, and I'm also endorsing it, that Nupur Sharma should have been sacked weeks ago. She should have been arrested, but it has not happened. And secondly, sir, there is a pattern that is going on since last 8 years. I would like to just take one more minute. 500% of hate speech has been increased since Modi has came into power. 45 of the leaders that have given hate speeches on national level belongs to the Bharatiya Janata Party. That is 75% of the total hate speeches, sir. So this has been done systematically. And sir, the media houses that are in Noida are to be blamed. No religious debates should have been arranged. No religious debate should have been done. And sir, I would like to say this in Hindi now, one line, sir. That is, हमें लश्कर तैयबा से ज़्यादा खतरा लश्कर नोएडा से हो रहा है, sir, because नफरत के बीज बोए जा रहे हैं. And no country can prosper under hatred, sir.
Okay, I want Tushar Gupta to respond to some of what you're saying, that this anger had been building up. It didn't happen immediately, but all of what we've seen, whether it is, say, with the Gyanvyapi mosque issue, whether it is with the Nupur Sharma issue, that it had been kind of building up, simmering, and all this international condemnation just acted as a spark, and then we saw this outpouring of anger. Do you accept that, Tushar, or do you think this was planned and it needs to be probed into?
It needs to be probed into. Rahul, let's stop pretending that before Nupur Sharma made those remarks, there were no violent protests across the country. We saw it with CAA. We saw it with the Bengaluru riots, where an offensive Facebook post led to rioting. So let's stop pretending that before Nupur Sharma made those remarks on May 27, there were no violent protests. The gentleman before me says that Lashkar-e-Noida is the problem, that hate speech is the problem, that the BJP spokespersons are the problem, that religious debates are the problem. But he won't say that the problem is the mentality. I don't say that people cannot be offended. Let's say what Nupur Sharma said was actually very offensive. Go file an FIR. Who's stopping you? Take to the courts. Who's stopping you? You are angry that she is not been arrested.
जब देश के अंदर यति नरसिंहानंद जैसे लोगों को संरक्षण दिया जाता है, सर जब यति नरसिंहानंद जैसे लोगों को संरक्षण मिलेगा, तो कैसे किस पे जाकर ट्रस्ट करने?
कमलेश तिवारी भी थे सर, इस देश में तो कमलेश तिवारी भी थे।
तो कमलेश तिवारी के अंदर कौन गिरफ्तार हुआ?
रिकॉर्ड से डील नहीं किया आपने, तो अगर कोई गिरफ्तार नहीं होगा, नहीं एक सेकंड, अगर आप कह रहे हैं गिरफ्तार,
no, one second. Hamza Masood, I didn't invite you to speak. This is not how I run a debate. I'm most definitely not part of any Lashkar-e-Noida. You will stay silent till you are spoken to. We'll try and do this in as sensible a fashion as possible. Hamza, you can't jump in right now. His fader goes down if he doesn't listen to me. Let Tushar Gupta complete his argument. Tushar, go on.
Rahul, my worry is not that what is happening after a remark is being what is happening in TV debates. My problem is if someone is offended, be of any community, take to the courts, file an FIR. You have all the rights, but you have no single right to call for the beheading of a woman, to call for the rape of a woman, to call for the family of that particular woman to be heard.
Let Maulana Rashidi respond to it. Her effigies were hung. उसके पुतले जलाए गए, सड़क पे मतलब पुतला फूंक दिया गया और उसको बेहेड करने की बात हो रही कि गला काट देंगे उसका। इस तरह की चीज़ें ठीक नहीं, वहाँ पे वायलेंस हो रही, वो कह रहे हैं प्रोटेस्ट कीजिए, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर इस तरह का वायलेंस, वो देखिए तस्वीरें प्रयागराज में गाड़ियाँ जलाई जा रही हैं।
देखिए, मैंने पहले ही कहा आपसे, एक तो गला काटने की बात, उसके साथ रेप करने की बात, इस्लाम इसकी इजाज़त नहीं देता। बिल्कुल मैं कंडम करता हूँ इस बात को। रही बात अपना प्रोटेस्ट दर्ज कराने की, ये कोई आज नया काम नहीं है। ये जो प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है ये कोई आज नहीं, पिछले 65-70 सालों से आप देखिए, जब भी इस तरह की कोई बात हुई, कोई घटना घटी है, दोनों तरफों के लोगों ने इस तरह के प्रोटेस्ट किए हैं। और रही बात, अभी कमलेश तिवारी का जिक्र आ गया, कमलेश तिवारी को आप पढ़िए तो सही, कमलेश तिवारी क्या थे। मैं इंडोर्स नहीं करता इस बात को कि उनके साथ जो घटना हुई सही हुई, लेकिन आप मुझे बताइए, जब मैं बार बार यतीमा नरसिम्हन जो हैं, जिस तरह की वो ज़बान बोलते हैं, अगर खुदा ना खास्ता कोई घटना उनके साथ घट जाए तो ये भी तो मानना पड़ेगा ना कि भाई ये आदमी था किस
Let Rashmi Samant respond that the point that Maulana Rashidi makes is that elements who've been spewing venom and hatred have been allowed a free run, which is leading to anger building up, and some of that anger is what we're now seeing manifest after the Juma ki namaz across the country.
Well, Rahul, I think hanging effigies, pelting stones, and this kind of intolerance is no way to protest. It's just a way to terrorize communities, and it must be condemned in every way possible because it's an act of terror. That being said, we can all look at how the Kashmiri Hindu Pandits have behaved. They have been through the worst of genocide and ongoing genocide. In fact, they see human rights violation on a daily basis, but their patience and their perseverance and the way that they protest and the way that they want justice is an example for everybody in India. And I think all communities, irrespective of whether they're minority or majority in this country, need to take lead from there and condemn everything else, because that's truly the way that we can become a tolerant society and heal our collective differences. So I think that is it. And, supporting these fringe elements, supporting, pelting of stones and, justifying it in any way is being complicit in this very act of terror. So that's what I'd like to say.
Sareen, from the perspective of the intelligence agencies and the government machinery, what should be done now to ensure that tempers really calm down? Of course, the element of this being orchestrated needs to be probed, but that aside, how do you ensure that things just settle down? Because there's been this simmering sense of something building up, which isn't necessarily very good.
Rahul, I'll just take half a minute before I come to your question. Number one, I think it is extremely important for everybody to understand. I might find comments by many people, including members of parliament, including commentators, including all kinds of people who have made comments on my faith. I might find them extremely distasteful, right? Have I gone out on the street to pelt stones and break cars and threaten murder? So this is unacceptable. Number two, I think where we have to be very careful, there is a clip, Rahul, which is doing the rounds of this ugly fellow, foul-mouthed, vile man who is saying something like, I want to make this lady, Nupur Sharma, do mujra. I'm sure you must have seen it. He has got his 5 minutes of fame because he has got this tool in his hand and he's a monkey with a banduk, and he has got his 5 minutes of fame. Okay, the Delhi police is saying we are going to take action against him. The Delhi police should have been the first to take action against him. So what I'm saying is that the intelligences are probably still working with a 20th century model of gathering intelligence, of monitoring what activity is. A lot of it has moved online. Okay, now the moment you see something like this, you should be cracking down on that person like a ton of bricks. Not 2 days of jail, not 5 days of jail, not remanded for 3 days. You throw him in the clanger and throw the key away. Okay, that has to be done. Number one.
शिवलिंग के बारे में लीची के आकार को कुछ बता दिया, उसको फौरन उठा लिया गया। नुपुर शर्मा ने 10 दिन पहले बयान दिया, उसको उठाया नहीं गया, और आप कह रहे हैं कार्रवाई कर ली। कौन सी कार्रवाई कर ली?
Let Sushant speak and conclude. Let Sushant speak, please.
32 लोगों के खिलाफ,
Maulana
लोगों को और जोड़ दिया आपने।
let him speak. Let
ये कौन सा नुपुर शर्मा के खिलाफ कार्रवाई है? मुझे बताइए।
I'm coming back to you in a moment. Let Sushant complete.
Okay, now if the Maulana wants to have a debate on what Nupur Sharma said, I am not a religious scholar, he is. What she has said, is there a hadith of that or not? Please, can the Maulana Sahab answer that? And is quoting a hadith?
नहीं, डिबेट जिस पर हो रही है उस पर बात कीजिए ना। नुपुर शर्मा के खिलाफ कार्रवाई क्या हो गई?
Sir, I have asked a question. Can you
आप क्यों क्वेश्चन करेंगे? आप टॉपिक से हटकर क्वेश्चन क्यों करेंगे भाई?
एक मिनट, थोड़ा हौसला रखिए।
अरे भाई
थोड़ा
साहब,
हौसला
आप
रखिए।
टॉपिक से हटकर
मेरा
क्वेश्चन
आपसे
क्यों
एक
करेंगे?
सिंपल
आइए
सा
बैठिए
सवाल
मेरे
है,
साथ।
आप चाहते हैं कि
आप टाइम निकालिए ना, आइए मेरे साथ बैठिए।
देखिए ना, इनकी प्रॉब्लम
अगर आपको हदीस जानना है, कुरान जानना है, बैठिए मेरे साथ। टीवी पर थोड़े डिसाइड करेंगे आप उसको।
इज देयर अ हदीस?
आप मेरे पास आइए सीखने के लिए।
नहीं, मैं आपके पास नहीं आऊंगा ना। आप मुझे ये
नहीं, आप
बताएंगे
टीवी
एक
पर
हदीस उस टाइप
आप
की है कि
मुझे
नहीं
सिर्फ
है?
ये बताइए,
आप सीधा जवाब क्यों नहीं दे रहे?
आप सिर्फ ये बताइए,
आप क्यों डर रहे हैं
नुपुर
सीधा
शर्मा
जवाब
के
देने?
खिलाफ पुलिस ने क्या कार्रवाई कर दी? 32 लोगों के खिलाफ एफआईआर और दी है।
आप किसी के कहने पे
एक आदमी की वजह से 32 लोगों को और घसीट लिया आपने।
आपने एफआईआर किस बात पे फाइल करवाई है? आप पहले ये बताइए ना, आपने किस बात पे एफआईआर फाइल करवाई है? और मैं मानता हूं कि अगर किसी ने तौहीन की है तो जो कानून है 295A, उसके तहत अगर एक कार्रवाई हो रही है तो बिल्कुल
अगर कार्रवाई हो जाती,
होनी चाहिए।
मैंने शुरू में क्या कहा तुषार जी, आपने शायद मेरी बात नहीं सुना। अगर आप मेरी बात को सुन लेते शायद ये बात नहीं करते। मैंने कहा कि अगर वक्त रहते कार्रवाई हो जाती तो ये नौबत नहीं आती। अगर वक्त रहते कार्रवाई हो जाती, आप सरकार को क्यों नहीं पूछते? आप सरकार को क्यों नहीं पूछते कि इतने देर में क्यों कार्रवाई हुई? आप क्यों नहीं एक सवाल करते?
ये तो बताइए।
आप नहीं कर सकते एक सवाल?
क्या है?
नहीं कर सकते आप भाई साहब, आप नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि आपको मुझे क्रिटिसाइज करना है, आपको मुझे बुरा भला कहना है। आप सरकार से पूछ ही नहीं सकते ये कार्रवाई 10 दिन के बाद क्यों हुई?
सुशांत सिंह, मौलाना साहब आपसे पूछ रहे हैं कि एग्जैक्ट उसका जुर्म क्या है, क्योंकि वो कह रहे हैं कि ये तो हदीस में लिखा हुआ है ना।
भाई नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की तौहीन, इतनी बड़ी तौहीन की उन्होंने, रेप जैसी बात कही उनके बारे में।
नहीं, वो
आप मुझे बताइए, शादी करना, सुनिए सर, सुनिए एक मिनट सुनिए।
नूपुर शर्मा
शादी करना, अरे सर सुनिए, उस जमाने में शादी करने का जो आम रिवाज था, और उससे पहले भी आप वेदों को पढ़ लीजिए, राम जी को पढ़ लीजिए, आपको पता चल जाएगा क्या क्या रिवाज था उस जमाने में। श्री कृष्ण जी को पढ़ लीजिए, आपको अगर नहीं पता तो मैं बता देता हूं, वेदों के हवाले से बता देता हूं। उस जमाने में जो रिवाज था वो था कि 6 साल या 9 साल जो भी था, लेकिन ये कह देना कि वो रेप की श्रेणी में आता है।
I don't think Nupur said anything about rape.
रेप की श्रेणी में आता है।
नुपुर ने नहीं बोला रेप।
बोला, बिल्कुल बोला है। आप उठाइए, टाइम फ्लो की डिबेट को उठाइए। अगर सिर्फ इतनी बात होती कि आपने 6 साल की उम्र में शादी की तो हम नहीं कहते कुछ भी, चूंकि हुई है, क्या बुराई है उसमें?
आई थिंक आपको नवीन ने जो बोला आप उसको उससे कंफ्यूज कर।
नवीन ने भी वही कहा है, नुपुर ने भी वही कहा है। नुपुर ने टाइम्स नाउ की डिबेट में ये कहा कि ये रेप की श्रेणी में आता है, इसी पर बवाल है। 6 साल 9 साल पर नहीं कुछ भी है, हम उस पर बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं।
क्लिप सुना उसमें तो नहीं है, आप क्लिप दिखा दीजिए।
अगर मैं आपके आराध्य के बारे में, शिवलिंग के बारे में एक लड़के ने कहा तो फौरन जेल में डाल दिया।
मौलाना साहब,
जेएनयू के प्रोफेसर ने कहा फौरन जेल में डाल दिया।
नहीं, हमारे प्रोड्यूसर्स
के बारे में रेप जैसी चीज बोली
नहीं, but this is no, but this is where, one second, Tushar Gupta, this is where there's a problem, because I just had it checked. That's not what was said. You know, I don't want to get into what was said, but that wasn't said. So you're kind of building up the specter of what could have been said, adding to it things which weren't necessarily said, and that is deeply problematic. So it's kind of acquiring a momentum of its own, Tushar.
Rahul, let's give the Maulana ji here the benefit of doubt. Let's give him all the benefit of doubt. Who is he to decide that how much time the police should take for the interrogation? Who is he to decide that when should Nupur Sharma be sent to jail? His job is that if he is offended, and he has all the right to be offended, he can file an FIR, he can take to the courts, file 10 FIRs, file 100 FIRs. But you have no right to say that, oh, she was not sent to jail for 10 days, तो हमारा कोई लावा पक गया, हम सड़कों पर आएंगे, दंगे करेंगे, we'll violent, we'll create arsonic on the streets, we'll do rioting on the streets. That is now how it works.
चश्मे से देख रहे हैं आप कौन से चश्मे से देख रहे हैं?
सर,
मैं बता रहा हूं कि शिवलिंग के बारे में 2 आदमियों ने बात की, दोनों को जेल में डाल दिया आपने।
आप 10 FIR लगाइए
और आप मेरे आराध्य के बारे में बात करेंगे, मेरा लावा नहीं पकेगा?
नहीं, बिल्कुल फूकेगा। आप करिए FIR।
आप कैसी बातें कर रहे हैं?
आप FIR फाइल करिए।
मैंने लावा पक गया बोल दिया तो आप उसको ले रहे हैं, अन्यथा
you can file an FIR, you cannot protest violently on the streets.
कब हुआ FIR? कब हुआ FIR?
वो कह रहे हैं वायलेंस में प्रॉब्लम है, वो कह रहे हैं इसमें प्रॉब्लम नहीं है कि आप प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, वायलेंस में प्रॉब्लम है, आगजनी में प्रॉब्लम।
वायलेंस को मैं भी मना
पर हुआ ना, देखिए अब प्रयागराज में देखिए तस्वीरें, देखिए पत्थरबाजी हो रही है, तोड़फोड़ हो रही है।
राहुल, मैंने शुरू में बोला कि मैं इसके साथ नहीं खड़ा हूं।
Sushant wants to make an interjection. Sushant?
Rahul, just a very simple thing. Look, if the Maulana is feeling incensed Number one, he doesn't have all the information, but like Tushar said, I'm giving him the benefit of doubt. He is feeling incensed about something he thinks somebody has said. He has all the right to feel incensed, to feel outraged that he feels that his holy figures are being blasphemed. I don't deny him that right. He has all the right to protest. He has all the right to demand legal action, assuming there is a case against the person. He has all the right to do all of that. The right he does not have is the right to resort to violence. The right he does not have is the right to incite hatred or to call for the murder of somebody or to offer a supari. Don't call
let Hamza Masood respond to that. Sushant says the protests are not the problem. Hanging her effigy, asking for her to be beheaded, putting out a supari on her name, that is problematic.
So can I say something now, sir? Please?
Yes, Hamza.
Yes. So first of all, I would like to request Mr. Rashidi and Sushant Saab, please do not discuss religion on television, be it Hindus, be it Muslims, because it will only bring enmity and hatred between two communities. It is high time that we should stop discussing religion on television. If Sushant Saab wants to know something about Islam, please contact Maulana. If Maulana wants to know something about Hinduism, please contact Sushant Saab. Secondly, violence is not the answer. We have said it very clearly that we are not with any kind of violence. We believe in rule of law, and I know for sure that Nupur will be served in courts. I know for sure that our sentiments have been heard, and the Constitution of India has given us a right to protest with peace, and we will exercise that right. I request the government of India to look into the matter and to find out who are these fringe elements who enter these crowds with us and they turn every protest into a violent one. So, sir, it's high time that we should stop discussing religion and we should start acting on hatred.
And hatred of all kinds. Anybody who spews
hatred of all kinds,
whether it is against Muslims or against Hindus or against Sikhs or any other religion, should be acted against. There can be absolutely no doubt about that.
No doubt. Irrespective of religion, hatred, if anybody is spewing venom, actions should be taken, be it Hindus, be it Muslims. It is high time that the rule of law in this country should prevail, which has been absent for last 8 years.
The last thing anybody would want is a mass, conflagration, some kind of a riot or a huge episode of violence. That's not what we want. So everybody needs to dial down the tempers and just step back and let cooler, calmer heads prevail. And there are FIRs against Nupur Sharma and the others. Let the legal process play itself out without taking law into one's hands. I think that is most important. For the time being, Sushant Sareen, Tushar Gupta, Rashmi Samant, Hamza Masood, Zakia Soman and Maulana Muhammad Rashidi for joining me. Thank you very much. This was a very tense Friday afternoon. Hopefully things will settle and calm from here. We will track what happens. We're slipping into a break. We'll have more for you when we come back on the other side. Stay with us.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
Is a means to communicating with the public, and also in this case because sustainability, climate change and all this has a huge impact on this generation and much more on the future generations. So everyone must act right now. So the awareness have to start from now.
frankly do not think this kind of event would actually even make people think about climate change at all. I think the only thing that we think about climate change is as we walk here, it feels very hot. We do not really think about climate change when we see these events. I think maybe more appropriate forums like maybe the turn off the lights kind of events would help more.
Through the COVID years, the focus was on economy. Now that the new GDP numbers have come in, let's have a quick look at how we have surfaced. The gross domestic product, GDP growth for the year just came in at 8.7%. Given that the GDP had contracted by 6.6% the previous year, this is certainly a good number. But the question is, are we out of danger? As the numbers look positive, the question is, are we...
Oh, sorry.
You're on board the Newstrack. There's been a breakthrough in the Salman Khan threat probe. The Mumbai police has now revealed that the threat letter to the superstar was a publicity stunt by the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. Here are the details.
Salman Khan, the reigning superstar of Bollywood, was target number one for dreaded gangster Lawrence Bishnoi's aides. The Mumbai police have confirmed that this death threat note to Salman, which read, "You will meet the same fate as Sidhu Moosewala," was sent as a warning by Bishnoi's associates. The mastermind of this threat is Vikram Barad, a Canada-based gangster who targeted Salman Khan as a publicity stunt to spread the word that his boss, Lawrence Bishnoi, killed singer Sidhu Moosewala.
3 members of the gang had come from Jalore, Rajasthan to Mumbai. This has been revealed by Saurabh Mahakal, his name is Siddharth Shamle, in his statement to Mumbai police.
While Lawrence Bishnoi has reportedly claimed that he had no clue about the letter to Salman, his gang's involvement has now been confirmed. This is, remember, the same gangster who threatened to kill Salman back in 2018, and it prompted a rather filmy response from Salman.
जब हम करेंगे तो पता लग ही जाएगा सलमान खान का करेंगे मारेंगे ही जाएंगे जोधपुर में मारेंगे तो पता लग जाएगा इनको अभी तो मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं अभी नहीं मतलब कोई इन्वॉल्व कर रहे हैं
जब भी कोई कमिटमेंट करो तो पॉजिटिव करना नेगेटिव नहीं करना और शिकार टाइगर जैसे शिकार कोई नहीं करता है ना ये सबको पता है.
India Today also accessed the Kill Salman plot hatched by the dreaded gangsters back in 2018. Lawrence Bishnoi and gang had planned to target Salman during the shooting of the film Ready, plotting a hit when the actor used to go out for cycling. The contract killer Naresh Shetty, who was also tasked with killing Salman, found his pistol inadequate for the hit after a recce of the actor's house and sought a rifle with a longer range and more firepower. The Mumbai cops have now confirmed the deadly gangsters behind Moosewala's killing had a clear hand in the death threat to Salman Khan and his family. And for the second time in 4 years, another gangster threat to the superstar has been thwarted. With Divyesh Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Meanwhile, in the Sidhu Moosewala murder investigation, another sharpshooter has now been arrested. But there's a blame game that's erupted between the probe agencies. This after the Interpol issued a red corner notice for the extradition of Canada-based gangster Goldie Brar.
A big catch for the police in the Sidhu Moosewala murder probe. One of the sharpshooters who allegedly pumped bullets into the singer is now in the custody of Punjab police. The police arrested sharpshooter Harkamal Ranu from Bhatinda. This is the 10th arrest in the case. 3 sharpshooters have been arrested for their alleged role in the killing of Moosewala. Meanwhile, the CBI and Punjab police are bickering over Interpol's red corner notice for the extradition of the Canada-based gangster Satwinderjeet Singh, alias Goldie Brar. Brar has claimed responsibility for killing Moosewala. The CBI and Punjab police are fighting over the date of the request for a red corner notice against Brar. Punjab police claimed that it had sought notice against the gangster nearly 10 days before Moosewala's killing on May 29th. The central agency countered the Punjab police's claim, saying they received the request after the singer's murder. 20 criminals, including 8 sharpshooters, are said to be involved in the killing of Sidhu Moosewala. 28-year-old singer-politician Moosewala was shot dead by assailants in Punjab's Mansa district on May 29th. The murder took place a day after the Punjab government curtailed his security cover. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where I wrap up the Newstrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you 8 p.m. Monday evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
Welcome to our special Big in Your Life news, your weekly special for the best of the big news. In this weekly roundup, we bring you some of the top news that made headlines last week. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced that India has achieved 10% ethanol blending in petrol. Tweeting about the achievement, the Prime Minister said the task was completed 5 months ahead of the November 2022 target. The announcement was made by the Prime Minister on the occasion of 2022 World Environment Day. Coal India Limited is looking at green mining options and enhancing production from its underground mines, as per the Maharatna company's chairman, Pramod Agarwal. The chairman said that the public sector unit has planted over 30.4 lakh saplings during 2021-22, expanding its green cover to 1,468.5 hectares. In another big news development, India is at a decade high in the global market cap ranking. India's share in the total value of global equities hit a decade high of 3.1% on a rolling basis, rebounding sharply from the decade low posted in March 2020 when COVID struck. India is currently the 5th largest contributor to the world market cap. So that's it from this week's special of Big in Your Life news. See you next week.
черга, щоб весь світ побачив, що робить Російська Федерація на мирних землях європейських держав і що ми можемо зробити з ними. Якщо приходять до нас з мечем, то від меча і помруть. За мною ви бачите зруйновану, знищену техніку Російської Федерації, яка була знищена безпосередньо у Гостомелі.
Негативні відчуття, не радість точно. Якби була вже перемога, тоді можливо була б радість. Чекаємо перемогу, щоб прийти вже, наверное, всією родиною, святкувати тут, щоб побільше техніки їхньої тут було. І буде тоді, потім будемо радіти. А поки що нема чому радіти, поки що ще тяжко, тому що зараз всі... Тяжко, тому що зараз всі начебто фотографуються, я фотографуюсь, посміхаємось, а десь зараз на сході, там зараз бойові дії йдуть, там зараз тяжко. У мене навіть рідний брат теж воює, то це тяжко.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
You are watching India Today.
So sorry.
Like all journeys, this one too must come to an end.
Mithali Raj bid goodbye to cricket with these words. As one of the greatest careers in cricket history comes to an end, here's a trip down the memory lane. Mithali Raj was born on 3rd December 1982 in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Her father is Dorai Raj, who was in Indian Air Force, and her mother is Leela Raj. Raj started to play the game at the age of 10. Mithali Raj became the first player from India in both men's and women's to score 2,000 runs in T20 internationals. She became the first woman to complete 20 years in international cricket. The 39-year-old Mithali is the leading run scorer in women's ODIs and finished with 7,805 runs in the format. She won the Arjuna Award in 2003, Padma Shri in 2015 and Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna in 2021. In 89 T20 internationals, Mithali Raj scored 2,364 runs while she collected 699 runs in 12 test matches. Under Mithali Raj, India had reached the final of Women's ODI World Cup back in 2017. Mithali Raj made her debut back in June 1999. Sachin Tendulkar and Mithali made their international cricketing debut at the same age of 16. Mithali is also called the Lady Tendulkar of Indian cricket as she is an all-time leading run scorer for India in all formats. She played her last match for India in the World Cup against South Africa. Mithali scored 68 of 84 in what turned out to be her last match for the country. She's been a fierce female voice in the cricketing world.
I think there's Indian society still is not very forthcoming when it comes to women's cricket. The parents are still more interested in putting their girls into a very feminine sport like tennis or table tennis.
In 2005, Raj became the permanent captain of India. She's the only female player to have captained India in more than one ICC ODI World Cup final. Now, after 23 years and 10,868 runs later, she puts her boisterous cricketing career to rest. She posted an emotional message on Twitter as she moves towards the second innings of her life.
You are watching India.
Oh, sorry.
India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% pure prime time. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV.
Presented by Aditya Birla Group, Big in Your Life. Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist. Co-presented by JK Pancharghat Tire. अब हवा नहीं निकलेगी. Powered by NECC. Sunday हो या Monday, रोज खाओ अंडे.
So sorry.